What's going on YouTube? So I could remember basically every job I had, and there was a certain point where I knew, of course, or most people usually do, I knew, of course, when I was going to leave that job. And my reasons weren't really for reasons of I'm like, this is like, why am I doing this, so to speak, like in that moment at least. Or why am I doing this specific job? Or like, I'm so exhausted. Um, I got to stand up to the man. It wasn't directed in that direction. My reasons of not staying at a job or willing to quit, move on, and get another job was because of two things. Simply, I understood what it is to kind of be adaptable, understand what it is to, value oneself as far as wages and income. I knew that if I stay on a job too long, they'll use and abuse me, at least indirectly, not paying me for what I'm truly worth because I'm gaining experience, because I'm having and showing loyalty, but because I am not willing to leave the job out of fear. And that wasn't the case. Like, I wanted to kind of control my destiny in that way. So I quit. I would be on jobs from anywhere from a couple months to, you know, a year or two. And I only stayed on a job unless it made sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't waiting for someone else to jump off the bridge first. Like, I wasn't going to be waiting for the most greatest opportunity, the lottery winning opportunity. I wanted something that it made sense to go from point A to point B, you know? And I just was like, I gotta outpace inflation. That's just my thinking. But what's interesting to me is while I had that understanding, that notion, not only did other people didn't, not only were other people older not thinking that way, other people were older, are older, right? I can imagine people still do this. And were coming to me like, as if they weren't feeling valued, as if they didn't have options, you know? And these are people with degrees and experience. So you should have options, especially being in America, right? Um, what's crazy is our mind can tell us one thing, but our body, our actions, our voice, statements, mannerisms shows a whole nother, you know? So I don't want to come on here and tell people just to up and leave their job or just to quit, but I want people to really understand and realize, have you asked yourself, like, have you woke up getting ready for work, putting on that tie or that coat or that shirt, that jacket, them shoes, as you're brushing your teeth, as you're running out of the house because you're late or you're trying to beat traffic, are you thinking about, like, do I really like what I'm doing? For one, the next question could be, am I getting paid enough to do what I'm doing? Understanding my cost of living, or at least what I want my quality of life to be. That's two. And three, if neither one or two makes sense, do I have options? I've heard a lot of people tell me that I don't know how it is if I leave this job. Literally, we'll go on interviews. I don't know how it would be if I leave this job. Well, wouldn't that be the same understanding that you had in the past before you got the job you're currently on? Like, you're never going to know really anything until you know, right? Until you're in it, unfortunately. So, like, is that fear talking? Is that the control at work? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just trying to understand why most people go through this, have this understanding that this job I'm on currently right now is my end all be all. And they would wait until they get laid off. They would wait until they get replaced. They would wait until their position becomes terminated, you know? And it's not good, guys. If you guys been in this situation, because I have, it's not good to be having to look for a job, which is looking for income, while you don't have any, while you don't have a job. There are signs and writings on the wall to quit your job today. There are. There are. People are going to ignore it because they know they have their light bill due. You know, they know they have a child coming into play. Now they have a vacation coming up, you know. Like they know about all this in the moment physical stuff. It's not even like, well, I got to make sure I don't leave a gap of work because I'm focused on my retirement. Nobody cares about retirement or saving money. So that's what's interesting too. But, you know, we got all this stuff due. But guys, aren't things going to always forever be due? Aren't we always going to have to pay somebody or feel like we have to pay for something or feel like we want something? So why can't we feel like we have an option to leave a job? You know what I'm saying? Like, can we look around and be like, maybe all this stuff around me is keeping me stuck? It's keeping me feeling that I have to be in the situation where even though I'm tired of being micromanaged, even though I'm tired of not getting my raises every time I meet my KPIs, like all this stuff, like, I want medical benefits, so I need to leave this job, but I'm scared to. Like, aren't you guys tired of that? Again, I'm not telling you to quit your job today, but maybe everything else is, you know? I just don't know if people think about that. Let me know in the comments if you guys actually think about quitting your job and everything around you, at work, outside of work, is telling you not to. Although, in the same breath, it's showing you why you should, right? Your job, the peers, your boss, your pay, your benefits, your exhaustion, your stress. It's telling you should quit this job, even though you need it because your mortgage is due next week or you're late on your rent. So you can't even quit. Even if you had an option, even, there's people who have to lap, employment, right? Like if you get a job, although you're making more money and stuff, you get the pay hold and all that. So you don't get paid for like 2 or 3 weeks. Sometimes it's 4 weeks for some people's employment opportunities. So they're on their job currently that they will leave while they're like starting onboarding for the new job. So they basically have 2 jobs for like 2 to 4 weeks, maybe longer, then they maybe get stuck, So I don't always advise that, but you got to do what you got to do to not be homeless because it's now getting easier to be without because everything costs so much. But I just want you guys to think about this stuff, right? Like, it's like, you watch this video, you don't, whatever. But obviously, if you're listening to this, you're watching this video. So, like, you go to your friends, your parents, whoever. Like, are you, ask them, are you tired of this job? Like, what is their response? What do they say? Is it yes, but, it is what it is? Well, you ask them, do you have options? And if they're like, no, well, maybe it's dead. That maybe it's dead. The conversation is mute at that point. But if they're like, yeah, this is other job, and then they phrase and then they go like, but I don't know, man. Like I'm good right here. Maybe it's never green on the other side, right? It's just we psych ourselves out. But then look down the line. Look how many times you may already had that conversation. How many years have passed and like, look, you're still in the same situation. It's the circle of life where we call it the rat race. This is how it happens. We psych ourselves out. We're in fear. We're in fear of what our boss may think, even though we're trying to leave our boss. Like we want immediate gratification. Humans run off of impulse and immediate gratification. Delayed gratification or long-term aspirations to gaining and achieving is, it's really secondary in our approach to living life, to living in the moment. And, It's hard for people. But I want to talk to the risk takers here and talk to people who've taken that risk, who've bet on themselves. We're not even talking about starting your own business and just going off the grid. I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying, guys, if you have a better opportunity with another employer, right? My whole mindset or my whole point of this is quit. Now I'm telling you to quit. But hear me out. Actually take the responsibility in your life, because you only have one life. You're the one who's paying your bills. You're the one who has to manage your stress. Your boss doesn't manage your stress. Nobody else is doing it for you. So if something is stressful, something is taxing, if something doesn't make sense and you've been doing it for years and this feeling has just been bubbling in you, especially when you know you have options and it's just fear, cut that fear out. Stop it. Quit your job. Be done with it. Move on. People are scared to move on. People develop relationships at work. They're scared to move on. They don't know about the relationships at their other job. They don't know if their boss is going to be worse. They don't know if their PTO, or benefits could be better or worse. Like, we don't know, but we just always live in I don't know. Again, we always live with, well, currently my glass is half full. I'm just always looking to bring the perspective that, well, the glass will always remain half empty if we're not looking to continue to fill it, right? If we're not looking to continue to have fulfillment. So quit your job if it make sense. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm talking from experience. I'm talking with experience. I'm talking to you guys because I've had people approach me while I'm at work and not at work, talk about this. And it's very haunting to me that people really live in this type of fear and in this type of mindset, that although we all have the pursuit of happiness, and although we were created equal, and although we have all these opportunities, we still feel like we have to keep doing the same thing day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, life after life. It just transcends, and generationally, we just all feel stuck and optionless when the options are right around the corner or right in front of us, or we said no to them because of fear. So stop fearing, quit your job. And I end on this: quit whatever doesn't make sense, because we shouldn't live in regret. We should wake up and ask ourselves, are we happy? Right? Even if it's making just a just difference, even if we've let go a little bit of stuff, less is more, guys. Quit the things that are bringing anxiety, stress, health issues, and obviously financial detriment to our life. Like, quit it. Stop it. It's a sickness that we're just all born with, but we have to be able to unplug, adapt, maneuver, and understand less is more. The world is our oyster. Let's look at our options and let's get into a more flexible approach. And so if you guys took the time to watch this video, this is your first time seeing Black, hit the sub button, leave a like, drop a comment. Let me know if you quit your job in the past, or if you're quitting certain things in life to make room at least for better, for more. You get what I'm saying? And I also have an ebook out. It's called Own Your Time, Working Remotely While You Fund Your Life. So I'm providing you 10 million different options and a means of job postings where you can kind of take some of that control back into your life, see what type of income you want to make, see where you want to live while you make that income, and ultimately have time to either fund your business on the side or fund your life with your family, friend, and loved ones while not having to break the bank with working. So check that out. That ebook is in the description. And guys, move on faith. Sometimes we just got to better ourselves. Life is about chance. Life is about timing and opportunity. So quit the job if you're ready to just take the chance on yourself. because you never know. It could be this time green on the other side. I'll see y'all later.